First question is always the easiest. Please say and spell your name.
Stacy Doumas, Stacy Doumas.
And what's your title?
I am the Chief of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry and the Interim Chair of Psychiatry at Jersey Shore University Medical Center.
How scary are cases like this? And are they not as uncommon as some people might think?
They are scary. They're extremely scary. And no, they're not uncommon, unfortunately. Kids are participating in a lot of things that we just don't know they're doing as parents online.
How do parents know? What can parents do better, if anything?
It's hard, and I don't want to ever put blame on parents for any types of situations where they don't know what their kids are up to, because the kids find ways around a lot of the limits that parents even set. I think the first thing parents can do is they can really make sure that they're talking to their kids and that they're educating their kids about the dangers of everything online, whether that's people that they maybe shouldn't be making friends with, or whether that's challenges and things that are out there that they could get caught up in. So first, I think absolutely is education. And the next thing that parents can do is really keeping younger children off social media and setting things like privacy settings, using apps to follow what their children are doing so they have some idea. With older kids, sometimes things like contracts work, where they teach them about social media, set limits on what they're going to be doing, and then hold them accountable using contracts, but still having some degree of trust and faith that their children are going to make some good choices.
What is it about these kids who spend 2 years locked down, no social interaction, that are gravitated towards finding acceptance and in these online communities that where they may not do this if it was in-person interaction?
Yeah, since the COVID pandemic, we have spent, all of us, especially teens, have spent a lot of time online. People spend up to like a third of their day online. For teens, much of that is spent on social media. And some of that is positive and connecting, but some of that is not, especially for vulnerable kids, especially for those kind of that might be more passively involved or just listening. And those kids might have increase in risk for suicidality, depression, anxiety. They might be more vulnerable. One of the tests I always use in talking to kids myself is, how does it make you feel to go on these things? Do you feel better? Do you feel connected to people? Or do you feel worse when you're engaging on social media? Because if you don't feel good, why do you keep doing it? And so they can start to set limits themselves.
And why are they so easily taking these risks where you would think rational thought would at some point come into play, yeah, I shouldn't take 7 to 10 Benadryl pills?
Well, remember, on social media, everything looks fabulous. People's lives look different than they are in reality. So they might think that, hey, this is okay because these 10 kids did it and they were fine. Remember, we only put things out on social media often that present us in the best light, or maybe they present us in a light that's not even realistic. And so kids might be influenced by that. They might be influenced like, this is okay, other people did it, I should be able to do it too.
Teachers, can they help at all in situations like this? Any kind of education in the classroom?
I think the same kind of education that parents are doing, I think that it can be education surrounding kids in every direction. Education on what the risks are, and education on what kind of things are out there. And I think when there are these, these challenges and stuff like that, I love seeing these kind of things on the news so that I can get right to my kids and say, what are you seeing lately? Have you seen these? And they'll say to me, oh yeah, this is silly what we're seeing. Or they'll know that it's not something they want to participate in, but we have to have that conversation first.
I have 2 more questions for you. Should the owners of these social media apps bear any responsibility?
That's a very loaded question, especially with lawsuits in certain parts of our country on that. I definitely think they have a responsibility to make sure that they're limiting who goes on their apps and who is on the social media site. I know that children can get past their age requirements right now as easily as could be. So they do have a responsibility to make sure that children of an appropriate age are using it, and that they're monitoring content that, just like they shouldn't have content up about inappropriate content in other ways, maybe sexual content. There's also other types of content with challenges and things that could be dangerous that they have a responsibility to be monitoring and removing when appropriate.
And what would you say directly to a 9, 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old watching?
I would say really give some thought to what you're doing on social media. It should be limited in time. It should be fun and enjoyable for you, and make sure you're safe. If something doesn't feel safe, if something doesn't feel appropriate, it's probably not. Don't friend those people you don't know. Don't participate in activities or challenges that don't make sense, because they probably do not make sense in reality. So you want to be safe and be smart, just like you would be when you were out playing with your friends outside.
This is my last thing. Is this family lucky we did not have an Ohio-type tragedy?
Absolutely, they're really lucky, and I think the fact that the family, really jumped in quickly and figured out what was going on was essential to that. And so I think that the family being connected and able to do that really, really helps.
Anything else you want to add? I'm good.
No.
Should a 9, 10, or 11-year-old be on social media, period?
That's a loaded question.
Yeah, it is.
Children under 13 probably do not have the developmental ability to understand all of the risks and benefits of social media. It is different for every individual child. Some are more mature and may be able to handle it, but we do really need to look at every child individually, because those younger children, there's probably no place for them on social media to begin with.
How old is Christian?
My son is 9. I have not even a chance.
Well, I didn't realize